I'm here with Constable Armstrong with the traffic unit for Thunder Bay Police Service. This service has implemented many safety directives for our membership to reduce exposure with possibly people that may have COVID or the possibility of someone getting the COVID virus. How is this affecting you as an officer on duty?
I think it's kind of an ever-changing thing. So we've had some changes happening, and they're making some adjustments and changes to our day-to-day duties to try and, again, minimize our exposure with the public and try and keep us safe and keep the public safe. So it's kind of a ever-evolving situation, I guess. But it's been, for us, doing traffic enforcement and answering calls for service, things have been going, I'd say, fairly good for us. We have to be out there with the public and interacting with people, and there's some things we can't control, but we're doing the best we can to ensure everybody's got the proper protective equipment and is as safe as we can be. So things have been, I say, so far so good. Again, it's kind of constantly changing.
Have you been running into any issues with the public regarding not following the rules because officers are trying to reduce exposure and not making stops? Is that kind of stuff happening on the road?
So I would say it's hard to tell for sure. That we've certainly, as far as speed enforcement and obvious traffic violations go, we've noticed some. It comes and goes in the days. There's certainly less traffic volume, but there's still some notably high speeds. So we're still doing traffic enforcement. We're still dealing with obvious violations. We're still responding to calls for service. We're still out there doing these things. So we're doing, again, what we can to minimize the risk for us and the public, but we're still doing what we need to do to keep the community safe.
The realities of COVID-19 are becoming clearer each day. I checked in with a uniformed patrol unit to see if the pandemic has changed how police officers interact with the public. When you're doing enforcement or going to calls, how is the public reacting when you're wearing your PPEs, like your face mask, your gloves? How is the public reacting when you're approaching them like that? And if you're doing a traffic stop, how are you handling the licenses, insurance, stuff like that?
The public's been great. We haven't had any issues with questions regarding us wearing PPE. I think everybody's generally understanding why we're doing it, and they realize that it's to keep them safe as well as us. In terms of traffic stops, we're just using the PPE that's provided. So we have gloves and masks, and we have hand sanitizers in the cruisers, and we're just making sure we're as clean as possible to protect us as well as the person that we're pulling over and doing the stop with.
How is this affecting you in your brand new career with the police service?
So obviously my frame of reference is a lot shorter than some of the other officers who have more time on, more years of experience on. However, when I did start, I did notice that the call volume that we responded to was a lot larger than it is now. Like my partner had said, call volume has gone down, but our interactions with the public have changed slightly. My frame of reference is very small, like I previously said, but I have noticed those changes, very minute in some ways, but also larger in some other ways, just even in terms of distancing ourselves from the public and even just how we are in people's homes and in places of business. Just all these little things that you have to keep in mind that I find I'm constantly having to keep in check and keep reminding myself to be aware of.
Police work entails officers working in close proximity together on calls in vehicles. You're a two officer car, so you're working in close proximity with the coronavirus. How do you feel about working in a car together?
I mean, there's obviously concerns when you have to be that close to somebody all day, but at the same time, I trust my partner. If my partner's not feeling well, I trust that they're going to let me know. And we're both very conscious about being as sanitary as possible and washing our hands regularly and then using that hand sanitizer all the time. The service is also cleaning our cars regularly, which is awesome. So I feel there's always a concern when there's an issue like this, but at the same time, I feel that there's adequate precautions and that we're going to be okay in the end.
This pandemic has also had a personal impact on our officers and their families.
So it's certainly been a challenging time, I'd say, I imagine for everybody, but for personally speaking, I'm working, my wife works at the hospital, so we're both working. We've got an 18-month-old little girl at home, so that was a kind of a concern for us, her health and well-being, and then also childcare while we're working. So what we've kind of weighing all the risks and our options. What we've ultimately decided recently is to ensure her safety, and then she spends a lot of time with my folks there when we're working. We both work shift work, so what we've done is kind of made the difficult decision recently that she's staying with my folks now. It's a heartbreaking thing to do, but we decided it was kind of the best thing for our family for now, and we're hoping it's not for long term, and that's kind of where we're at with it.
Rest assured that the members of the Thunder Bay Police Service are here to serve and protect during this pandemic. Do your part, stay home, keep physical distancing, and obey all the emergency orders from the province.